Welcome to Maxim Grunin Art. I am Maxim Grunin, and I'd like to take a look at figure drawing exercise. Let's break it down. When I first started learning to draw the figure, my challenges were to know how tall the figure should be, how to effectively show gesture or the pose or the action of the figure. How can I quickly and effectively sketch a figure, a human figure, go through the entire skeletal structure from head to neck to spine, the curvature of the spine to pelvis, and then the upper leg to lower leg and the foot. So how can I quickly create this impression of a figure that's moving, that's dynamic, and have recognizable, satisfying, cohesive drawing as a result? So let's take a look at the methods that I learned about and the methods that I'm using in this video. I am using a woodless 6B graphite pencil. It's like a really broad and really visible and kind of soft graphite drawing tool that it's quick and easy to make visible lines and a little bit of shading really quickly with that pencil. And so my strategy is to find reference of figure. I have stacks of fashion magazines. I have a laptop nearby to access the internet or photographs of figures that I've taken, or even just watching a movie and pausing on the bit that you like to draw where the figure is visible and you want to draw that figure, sketch that figure, or real, just a friend or a family member. All of these choices are okay for finding reference for drawing the figure. So I choose one photo, let's say, that I want to sketch from. At first, I draw the shape of the head, and then I go and attach a neck, and then the curvature of the spine to pelvis, like where legs are attached to the torso, and then I quickly draw the legs as well. So the entire wire frame, the simplified skeleton, it's like a stick person, like a wireframe person is drawn really quickly to give me an idea if I am getting the major idea across. So really quickly I am setting up the entire stick person with these lines showing the gesture, the kind of pose, the kind of action the figure is doing. Once I quickly drew the stick person or the wireframe person, the impression of the figure doing the kind of pose, the kind of action, the recognizable gesture that the figure is doing, like, oh, this figure is standing and they have this leg is the one that they are leaning on and the other leg is relaxed. That's the way the figure's arms are facing or positioning. Then I start drawing all of that first, and I draw initially with a lighter line, so not pressing very hard on my pencil that I'm drawing with, so that I can go back to the lightly drawn first initial kind of quick start, and then I can refine it a little bit and darken some areas a little bit, and I could draw back into the head, the skull, and clarify a little bit better, like what it looks like. I can carefully create a little bit more of a visible torso, like you could see the chest and shoulders and maybe even a bit of muscles around the arm, the pelvis, lower body area, how legs are connecting to the lower body, what part of the leg, the upper thigh, is it wider, and then if it is, I can go back and show that at this point. And when I do that, I darken the elements that are a little closer than the other. Let's say this pose or this drawing that I'm making now, what part of this drawing is closer to me in distance? Like the arm or the leg extending forward being the nearest, that's the closest area. So that's the area I will darken and shade into and make more definition for. And then once all of that is in place, I can examine the drawing, maybe touch up a little bit more with overall shadow, like maybe go back to one or two things that seem like they would be a little more effective if I clarified them. Maybe I added digits to the hand, the palm of the hand in the foreground. Maybe I shaded one side of the entire figure to make it a little more three-dimensional. What other things do I think about when I sketch figure? I learned to kind of measure eye out the figure by using the head as the measurement point for getting the idea of how big, how long the figure would be. So adult, female or male, general, regular, normal, what's normal, but regular body type would fit anywhere from 7.5 to 8, even 9 total of the measurement of heads in length. So head is included in that. So here's the head is at the top, that's 1. Then if we count downwards from that, like the chest is roughly 2 measurements of the head, maybe 1.5, and so on and so on. So please take a look take a close look at how many heads measures would fit into an upper arm, lower arm, total of the arm, the legs, the entire figure. Of course, if the figure is seated or laying down, reclining, sitting, and then there might be some foreshortening, like a shrinking of the form, and we will see it in perspective. Maybe, if the person is sitting, it's definitely going to be less heads from top to bottom. But it's a kind of a thing that I think about, is like, how many heads do fit in this pose, this way, yay long, yay wide. Think about these things. What else? A good idea for me and for students is to loosen up and relax and get more calm and easy going around not finishing the sketches. Keep it loose, keep it brief. Maybe it's not a good idea to get caught up in perfecting the drawing too much. It's really productive to create lots and lots of attempts, and that records a lot of knowledge, a lot of study value in one's mind. The familiarity with the figure or any other subject that is drawn comes over time, after quantity of attempts is been made. So for very, very beginners, those who are timid and are just starting, just to make stick figures that become more and more complex, and I'm showing you a bit of a lead of how to make your lines a bit more complex. How can we create a kind of graceful stick figure, and then just stop and move to do another one. Different styles are good. Like in this video I am showing maybe 2-3 approaches where I go with a kind of wireframe, kind of an extended stick person. You can see what the figure is doing, and then I draw back into the drawing to show some like volume of muscle structure around the arms, the torso, the legs. I do a little bit of touch-ups on foot and palm of the hand to show a little bit of that information, and then I shade into the sketch to give it a bit more substantial and three-dimensional look. Then I create exercise where I just do the wireframe kind of drawing, showing the gesture, the action of the figure, and then I do a cross contour where I take a pencil and I kind of wind the line around the wireframe, like building these drawn lines and layering them, and it's like winding a wool thread over a metal wire up until it gets voluminous enough to represent like how big the head would be and how slim the lower leg is in comparison to upper leg, etc. So drawing and sketching kind of around that wireframe is a nice exercise. Yeah. In my experience, effective amount of work to improve one's skill set is, let's say, to become proficient, effective, fluent, a bit more fluent in the sketching of the figure, let's say, I would recommend doing at least 10-15 pages a week. That's then within a year, within a few months, anyone who has done a couple of hundred drawings will have a much better grasp of their own approach at drawing. You'll be discovering how you in particular stylize the figure and what else you can do with it. It's so the more volume, actually, the better. Being educated and working, I worked in the area of art education and art whatever, but I hardly ever stayed inactive. So studio practice, drawing, painting, studio foundations, just like go to the shop and spend a few hours there per day. That's the work. So I draw quite a bit. Like I have more than 10 pages a week, definitely, even to the day. So it really is up to a personal capacity of dedicating time and working towards like a clear understanding of what's going on. So experience and volume is really good in this line of education. So maybe one more time to recap on the method of figure sketching that I am showing. Start with a reference. Find a figure to draw from: live, video, magazine, photograph, doesn't matter. Start very lightly or lightly enough and draw the head as a point of measurement. And then find where the neck is connecting to the skull and create a kind of a S shape, the curvature of the spine, and maybe sketch lightly where the rib cage is, that oval at the top, and maybe a circle or a kind of a free shape to show the pelvis. Find where legs are attaching to the pelvis, with emphasis on starting with the leg that the figure is leaning on. It will stabilize the figure. So and go all the way from head down to that bottom of the leg to where the foot is going to be, lightly. then draw the rest of the parts of the body. The other leg that is more relaxed, that is, the figure is not leaning on that leg, so it's a bit resting. Draw the arms, and then go back and darken the close-up areas a bit. Work back and refine some of the shapes more.